everyone. Welcome to Understanding Perseverance and Degree Achievement through the essence of the lived experiences of first-generation Hispanic college students. I have with me today Dr. Nancy Martin, and I had the honor of being on her committee. Nancy is an exceptional researcher and academic, and we're so happy that you were able to give this presentation today, Nancy. So go ahead. I'm going to put myself on mute and take it away.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Warren. And I have to say, I had the dream team with my dissertation committee. So thank you for that. All right. This topic here, this title is very important to me, and there is significance here with this title, and I will get into that in just a moment. Oh, it's not... There we go. Sorry about that. All right, a little bit of a background. I defended my dissertation on May 27th of last year, and a few months later, I was awarded the Outstanding Dissertation Award for Phenomenology. Thank you, UAGC, for that. I am very thankful for that. Now, to receive that award, that was about my participants as well, and I will get into that with you in just a moment. I am currently associate faculty here at UAGC. Now, a few facts that I think are interesting about myself. What really puts a smile on my face are three important things here: reading, writing, and research. If I could eat, sleep, and drink reading, writing, and research, I am happy with that. Also, I have been aligned with some business mentors for several years now, and I always reach out to them. We have developed a strong business relationship over the last several years. I am so thankful for them. I learn from them. I am a sponge with them, and I will not be letting them go anytime soon. Also, I love serving in my community. I have been doing volunteer work for many, many, many years, and that also will not be stopping anytime soon. All right, now what led me to this topic and why this study in particular? I will say this started out as a journey. By that, I mean in the summer of 2016, I started my academic journey for my PhD at a local university here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And a year later, I switched to our school here. Now, at that local university, aside from the topic I had at the time, we had to create and develop Plan B topics to keep in our back pocket, because you never know what could happen where you need to switch your topic. And that is what I encountered. In the summer 2019, I switched to my current topic. I am so thankful that opportunity came about because I was able to dive in and really embrace this topic. And now I am living that topic. I love this topic. And for me, this research is not over. It is still the beginning for me. Now, regarding the topic here, the title for this dissertation, three areas have been extremely important to me for quite some time. That is perseverance, degree achievement, and lived experiences. I have been fascinated with these components for quite some time now. I wanted to dive into the personal experiences, and that is why qualitative and phenomenological worked for me. I also wanted to observe the study participants. I wanted to dive into those observations, and again, this is not over for me. However, in the future, I will be diving into quantitative as well. Now, being a strong part of this research, I wanted to make sure I am not just going along the mindset of, oh, topic XYZ. Sure, I hope there's a change in there someday. No, I wanted to be a part of this and engage in some way. I wanted to do better and be better and set an example and engage in change and engage in making a difference as well. And by throwing myself into this topic, I wanted to be able to see results as well. And that is why this study means a lot to me. And it is not just something I wanted to write about. All right, now getting into the statement of the problem, this is the fun part for me. Now, the statement of the problem was that perseverance and degree achievement through the essence of the lived experiences of first generation Hispanic and Latino college graduates were not known. Now, at the time I started my research, the Hispanic college enrollment rate was only at 39%. That is a halfway decent number. However, that was still low for me. Now, the total college enrollment rates, there was an increase from 22% to 39% for the Hispanic population, as compared to the Caucasian population of 39% to 42%. Increase, great. Is it good enough? That was not good enough for me to see that and to understand that. I needed to dive further into that. Now, generally having that disparity in the enrollment rates, 39% Hispanic, 42% for Caucasian population. Why is that? How is that happening? Why is that happening? And how can we increase the 39%? That is what I wanted to examine. Now, to throw in a piece of information here, I have here that across multiple degrees, from associate's degree to doctoral degrees, even back from 2009 to 2010, there has been a lower representation of Hispanics and Latinos across the multiple degrees. I included that piece of information in my dissertation to show that this lack of representation and lower enrollment and retention rates was not just around the time of my research, but it goes back even a decade, and also earlier than decade. But I at least want to go back one decade to show that this has been a prevalent problem here. All right, the purpose of the study. Now, the purpose was to understand perseverance and degree achievement through the essence of the lived experiences of first generation Hispanic college students. Now, based on that here is a quote from my study participants. For us Latinos, there are a lot of barriers. I am judged by the color of my skin, by my parents coming from another country. And by the way, for my study participants, the majority of their parents were from another country. Oops, excuse me here. All right, now regarding the importance of the study, there were some driving factors here, a driving force. And what that entailed for me was I wanted to learn about the lived experiences of college graduates to have a better, a stronger understanding of the influences that led to degree completion for the Hispanic demographic. And as I stated, the enrollment rate at the time of my research was 39%. That showed me if the enrollment rate that led from enrollment to graduation was only at 39%, there is a disconnect there. They may be enrolling, but they're not all graduating. How can we figure out what's going on in this gap right there? Now, the enrollment aspect of this could be an amazing separate dissertation topic, but I chose to focus on the missing link, or what I call the missing link, and I wanted to examine enrollment and degree completion and how can we figure out what's going on in this middle section. Now, to support that, there is research out there and statistics to show that there is a decreased retention rate among the Hispanic population. Now, for the foundation of this study, I wanted to examine the inequality gap leading to degree completion based on lived experiences. And I interviewed Hispanic and Latino graduates who did persevere toward degree completion. I interviewed alumni students or graduates who are part of an alumni association with a university in Denver, Colorado. I wanted to find out what they encountered and how they were able to overcome, what was potentially crippling for them. What were those barriers standing in the way for them to achieve their degree? And then also, what was their motivation to overcome and achieve success? That said, here is another quote from my study participants. I encountered ignorance while in school. People assumed I was dumb and didn't know the answer. I was asked if I speak English. They assumed I didn't and treated me differently. I had to persevere. What was the other option? Now, as far as the overview of this study, I wanted to truly live their experiences and feel their experiences. I wanted to really dive in, and if I could have gone through the phone to get a hold of their heart and their mind and see and feel what they were sharing with me, I wanted to do that to better understand my research with them. I was trained very well for my dissertation committee that I needed to remain neutral, how essential that was, and I listened to them. I will admit that was an extreme challenge. I could not show favor one way or the other. I had to remain neutral, even with my actions or mannerisms that they could not see over the phone, but I did. Diving in to live and feel what they were feeling to understand this. I wanted to do what I could to add to this body of knowledge, but through the avenue of lived experiences, perseverance, and degree completion, the three major components at the. And based on that, the research questions covered those components: lived experiences, perseverance, academic components, support in and out of school, and influences that were positive and negative, and also their perceptions of success. Now, my study participants were more so than I expected. They were extremely forthcoming with the stories that they shared. Those stories were filled with rich information and robust information, and I can tell they shared heartfelt data with me. And one participant even said that this information that he was sharing with me was kind of hard for him. And he said he didn't even share some of this from his experiences from college with his wife. And I asked him if he wanted to pause or end completely. He just took a pause and he wanted to continue. Perseverance right there in action. Now, regarding the themes that came from the study participants, there are two main areas: participant themes and institutional themes. Now, the participant themes, they covered the encounters that they had during their academic journey, their culture, discrimination, and also a lack of diversity. The institutional themes, they were all in agreement, which was surprising to me, and I'm thankful for this, on what institutions could do to increase the enrollment and retention rate for the Hispanic and Latino population, specifically for first generation college students, Hispanic and Latino college students. Now, here is the breakdown of the themes. I have the themes here on the left and examples here on the right. All right, barriers, challenges, obstacles, and roadblocks are prominent stressors. That was one of the first themes that came about for the participants. Financial hardship, as an example, imposter syndrome, self-advocacy, and self-confidence, they impact the struggle to persevere. The dynamics of culture are critical influences impacting perseverance. An example of that would be the disparity of degree completion timeframes are common with minorities. Now, discriminatory behaviors crucially impact academics and perseverance. Examples: microaggressions, stigmas, and typecasts are present. Diversity deficiency inhibits academic success for all students. Examples: white passing shapes acceptance and the level of discrimination received with minority students. As far as the institutional themes, they all centered on going into the community and reach out to the high schools as well and maybe engaging in more extracurriculars on and off campus, and also reaching out to parents because parents needed more assistance. For example, here, how do the students get into college? You can share that in high school with them. The schools could hire more bilingual and Hispanic staff and faculty, and also assistance regarding the enrollment process. That was very important since my participants said that many of the participants' parents were born in another country. All right, now regarding the participant themes here for the barriers and challenges, here are some quotes regarding this information directly from the mouths of my participants. My parents and grandparents told me I was wasting my time going to school. My parents and my aunt wanted me to stay home and get married and have babies, and they couldn't understand why I wanted my degree. My journey was wrought with difficulties. Money was a big one. I didn't have a strong support system. I didn't self-advocate, and that lowered my self-confidence. I think perseverance can be a motivating factor or a coping mechanism. I think it's the ability to fail at times and get back up and keep going. I had no other choice but to persevere if I wanted to be somebody in life. All right, themes regarding the discriminatory behaviors. My last name was broad enough to be discriminated against. Other times it was assumed I did not know something, but I did. I was discriminated against because of my skin color. I found myself in racially charged scenarios, but I just wanted to keep my head down, which was a self-reflection of my place in the world. Very important words right there. My engineering advisor exhibited cultural ignorance. My Latin culture clashed with my American culture, and that was difficult to handle. It's hard when people see my skin color first. All right, regarding the institutional themes, a few quotes here. I think I had one Hispanic professor over the course of 7 years, maybe two. There was too much of a whiteness, a lack of diversity. It was assumed I didn't speak English in my classes. My white professors didn't know how to help me, and they didn't understand my status. There were times I wanted to be part of the white passing phenomena to succeed. Dismantle certain systems that are oppressive toward the Latino demographic. Hire diverse instructors and lessen the whiteness. Get into the high schools and the community. Help inform the parents. Now, as far as the outcomes, I wanted to help see, I just have to move this over here. What would they allow me to see and what can their data lead to? As I previously mentioned, I wanted to really see what was happening, what was going on to them, or what happened to them. The outcomes of the study can lead to changes in colleges and universities, not just a one-off event each semester of the school year. That is not a real change, but having change run through the vein or the veins of their institutions, maybe also through their vision and their mission statements, and also from top leadership so they can set the example. Those are ways that we can help make change, and they can model examples as well. Based on that, here is a very powerful statement right here from one of my participants. School trials affected my mental health. I gained a lot of weight and my health started to suffer. I became a mother at 15, so a lot of people thought I wouldn't do anything except become another statistic as a young single minority female who drops out of high school and works at McDonald's. I was typecast for being a minority teen mom. But guess what? I now have my bachelor's degree and 2 master's degrees. That is perseverance. Oops, excuse me here. All right. Now, as we wrap this up, I just want you to take a moment to read this as part of a reflection as well. These are direct quotes that came from my study participants as we wrap this up. perseverance means pushing through the good times and the bad. It just means just trekking through everything and making it through to what you want to do in life. Getting through whatever kind of obstacles that are in front of you and working it out. I encountered a lot of obstacles and barriers that really tried to withhold me from persevering. So I persevered by being a very determined individual and doing whatever I could to remove those barriers for myself, moving forward in the face of difficulties. But I would say overall, with continuing my education and perseverance, I feel like I never gave up. Direct from the mouths of my study participants. Well, that wraps up my presentation. I want to say thank you to UAGC for allowing me to present this research. I hope you will take a moment to reflect on this condensed version of my dissertation, and I would love to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Bravo, Nancy. Quintessential presentation. Thank you so much. Well done. And as others pull together questions, I have a couple questions myself. I have a few questions actually. So this first one, I'm hoping you can answer very briefly so we can get to the meat of your research. As a researcher, you mentioned that it was difficult to remain neutral. And I'm wondering if you can talk about the metacognitive perspective of being a researcher and perhaps the discussion of bracketing your assumptions and your biases and remaining neutral. I know that was hard for you. How did you do that?
Setting the biases aside, that was hard. And as you know, we've had discussions about that with you in the chair of the committee. It was not easy. I had to, if you could truly go in your brain and just flip a switch or turn the gear on the wheel, I had to do that. I had to focus. It was not easy at all. Right now, as I sit in my home office, straight in front of me, I have a large dry erase board. I put certain, if you want to say, words of affirmation on there regarding focusing and staying neutral. And I had to be in that mindset. I was in that mindset even before I started each research study or participant interview. Mm-hmm. I had to block out everything else. And when I say I could eat, sleep, and drink research, writing, and reading, I meant it. And when I dive in, I dive in. And if you want to say, it was almost as if I was a different person. When I zone in on something, I zone in on it. And that I had to just block everything out in order to be neutral with that.
Fantastic.
It was just training, I'll tell you that afterwards.
I bet. Yeah. So thank you for saying that. Yeah. And Lauren says, thank you for your presentation. I love that you care so much about these students that have been overlooked in the past. I love how you took the time to really understand the many obstacles that have been preventing the academic flourishing of so many Hispanic students. I appreciate your work. Okay. So with that, I have a couple questions for you. So I have a couple. So, and we only have 7 minutes. So is that right? So quick question on what can we as faculty do to support this population and helping them persevere?
Well, I think UAGC has been doing a great job. There has been improvement over the years. I've seen that. I've been a part of this community since 2008, and I've seen changes, and I'm very thankful for that. Now, to continue to support this community, maybe we can increase a little more of the teacher-student likeness in different ways. I know there are groups or clubs, maybe that's the word to use out there to support them. I know from what I heard from my study participants, they want this, they want these opportunities to participate. And yet one of the participants said, but I don't want to be singled out. Okay, where is that common ground there? We could continue to have the cultural groups. I know that's big here as well, and I'm thankful for that. but maybe some sort of, if you want to say, intercultural group as well, or groups. And I know that is not completely foreign here, a concept, but if we can work more on that as well and continuing to reach out to our students. Now, I know some students here, they don't want to give their opinions sometimes, but a lot of them really do. And if we can just reach out to them, maybe not always on social media, but also more in a personal manner. I think they love that personal touch, that personal approach. And let's start there. But really, just starting with our leadership here could really set the good example.
Nice, nice. And so my question now has to do with not just UAGC, but all institutions. What are things that institutions should do to include this group, help them persevere? What are some solid actions that institutions can take?
Right. I know professionals, and I have some close friends who are leaders at different colleges and universities, not just here in Wisconsin. And I have been seeking insight from them for a couple years now. And one thing I covered in my dissertation was, or this came up through my dissertation research, when I've heard a leader say, "Oh, we just had a cultural event last semester." I think that's wonderful. I have the cultural event, but they thought that was the top way to incorporate these changes. They're on the right track. They may be in the right mindset that I'm doing what's right as a leader for my school. So we can't knock that. But to really make a change, it's not the events, one event or 2 events each semester or in the summer, but really make a change. What are the main veins running through your institution? That is where we can make a change. What is your vision? Where is your vision or your mission? Do you have this regarding even up the enrollment and the graduation rates and degree achievement rates for the Hispanic Latino community?
So what are some solid strategies like bias training, or what are solid strategies that institutions should implement now?
I think that would make a fantastic separate presentation that I would love to get into. I think we discussed this already, but I will say a very good start is bias training, especially with things that have gone on in the last few years. That would be extremely helpful. Maybe some people just need a few reminders. And bias training does not mean you're in trouble, but it will just help us and can soften what's in our hearts and can add to our body of knowledge. If we can add to our body knowledge in some way, why not go for it? Mm-hmm. And so a good first step would be maybe bias training and start working on bite-sized chunks of buy-in. And I think with top leadership, bite-sized chunks, we can get buy-in on that. And there are models to follow, which I had in my presentation. But again, that will be another awesome presentation to have.
Yeah. You also mentioned, what was that? You mentioned something about another study at the start of your presentation that would make a great study. Oh, it was on enrollment. Can you talk maybe a little bit about what that study might look like?
I have been thinking on that slightly, and what can we do to focus solely on enrollment? First generation Hispanic and Latino population. What I found in my research was at the time when my study participants were getting into college, 1 or 2 of them were DACA students, and some of them did not have certain documentation and they had certain struggles. We can take an avenue with obviously non-traditional college students. One could be non-traditional in terms of DACA or not having certain papers to move forward. Mm-hmm. Certain non-traditional backgrounds like that could not receive certain type of federal funding. However, in the state of Colorado, they did receive other funding for that. And so those are just a few of the avenues that could lead to other studies related to enrollment. Honing in more so on, for example, the DACA students and why they could not receive the regular federal funding that other
Mhm.
students could receive.
Nice, nice. Well, again, I want to thank you for your exceptional research, and we look forward to you making a difference in this really important area. And thank you so much, Nancy, for your wonderful presentation.
Thank you. You're welcome. I am not finished, so this is still the beginning for me.
Good for you. Thanks again, everyone. Thanks for joining us.